Green Bay Packer quarterback, told the team Saturday, I'm not practicing. I want a new contract. Now, this isn't Brandon Ayuk and the Niners. Green Bay wants to get it done. Jordan Love wants to get it done. But sometimes employees, yes, have to play hardball with the employers. And I'm going to side with Jordan Love here. First of all, he signed a very team-friendly deal before last season. And he should have. He wasn't proven. And he blew through it. He was fantastic. And you could say, well, I mean, he still has a year left. So Jordan Love didn't just eclipse the contract. Through weeks 10 through 18, 8 NFL weeks, with the youngest offense in the league, in the better than it has been in years NFC, he had the most passing yards and the most total touchdowns. He was better than Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Stafford. He was better than everybody in the league. And that's with a bunch of kids. He didn't have a dominant number one receiver. Even the offensive line is young. Young team. Went to Dallas, blew out the Cowboys. And there's something else here. Is that there is also a responsibility by an organization to make evaluations of a player beyond just games. You and I watch games. We can tell who can play and who can't. But he was in the building 3 years before last year. You can make judgments on his maturity, his leadership, his judgment. Not only had he started 18 games, he'd played in 27 and had over 400 practices. He's 25 years old. 25 years old is different than 21 or 22 years old. 21, 22 years old, you're saying stuff to get you in trouble. You're drinking more than you should. Not necessarily a grown-up. By 25 years old, you screw up, it's up to you now. And NFL front offices, their responsibility is not just watching games. We can all do that. The best NFL scouts, they're going to practices. They're on the phone sometimes with investigators to dig deep on players. What's going on at home? What's going on campus? The Packers have had years and years of watching Jordan Love's maturity, his judgment, his talent at practice, preseason games, starting, backing up. It's time to pay him. Again, I would love to see more of Jordan Love, but I don't have the video of the practices. I don't bump into him at the lunch line at the Packer facility. I don't know if he gets along with others. My guess is he does. But the advantage to having any employee in the building for 3 or 4 years before you have to pay the big money is now it's on you, it's not on them. If he's been as good at practice in the last year as he's been in games, it's on you. And remember, he did all this. I would love to see more. But this isn't a kid who started 10 games in college like Anthony Richardson at Florida, started 10, 13 games, something like that, goes to Indianapolis, gets hurt. I still don't know what Anthony Richardson is. He's dynamic. He's talented. I don't know what he is. I'm not sure the Colts know what he is. He's only been in the building for a year. Jordan Love has been here almost a half decade. Practices, games, starting, exhibition. So to me, that advantage, Green Bay knows quarterbacks. I think they'll pay him. I think they should. And I think to this point, he looks like he can crack into the top 8 to 10 quarterbacks in the league very quickly.
So, okay. To me, it's a no-brainer that you pay Jordan Love. There's no doubt in my mind. Whether you think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback or not. And I've talked about this before, but obviously this is kind of some new information now that he refuses. He won't practice without a new deal, which I did not see coming, honestly. But I am supportive of the move of Jordan Love to do this because a lot of people want to say he only had 10 good games or whatever, right? And you can't pay him based on those 10 games. Now, yes, in a perfect world, you would say, I'm going to see you play another 2 full seasons before I have to pay you any money, right? That's not the way this works, okay? And so you have to hedge your bets. You have to figure out, we have to pay this guy probably like $60 million a year. I'm not going to get into the grittiness of like how much money guaranteed this and third. I think guaranteed money is overblown. All of these quarterbacks end up finishing their contracts anyway, so the fight over guaranteed money ends up really being like pretty much nothing. Personally, when you see all these top quarterbacks, like the guaranteed money. Like they get their money. So the squabbles over guaranteed to me only matters if you're like a third tier quarterback, right? You're in the category of say like you're fighting like a Gardner Minshew, Baker Mayfield, whatever it may be. Jordan Love's not in that category. But I digress about that. The thing is with this is you have to ask yourself, will Jordan Love be the same quarterback than he was last season, a better quarterback, or a worse quarterback? Now, you have to imagine, based off of what you've seen in Jordan Love, there's no way that he is going to go from the level that he was and now completely fall off a cliff and be a below average quarterback. I just don't see how you could possibly watch Jordan Love and feel that's even remotely possible. And if you say, okay, well, maybe he's not going to be as great. Maybe he just got hot on those last 10 games or so that he's going to now fall back down to say maybe a more average, slightly above average. You will still have to pay him that amount of money, essentially, especially because the amount of money that you're going to pay him right now in a couple years, he's going to drop out of the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks, right? Like that's just the way the market is continuing to go. So if you want your quarterback to be Jordan Love for the next 4 or so years, then you have to pay him top of the market value right now. Even if he's just an average, a good to great quarterback and maybe doesn't end up being that elite quarterback. Now, I think he has the potential to be great to elite. So that's why I think it's an easy bet to make. You have to pay him money, right? You have to pay him lots of money. There's no way around it. So again, you have to ask yourself, and I think maybe using another quarterback as a concrete example, because I think Kirk Cousins got like $45 million a year. Do you think, right, last season, Jordan Love played better than Kirk Cousins? Do you think he's going to be better than Kirk Cousins? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, but then you have to pay him more than Kirk Cousins, right? You're going to have to pay him the $55-60 million. Do you think that his floor is of that of Kirk Cousins? If the answer is yes, well then his going rate is going to be the $55-60 million. It's not going to be that of a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. So either way, you have to pay Jordan Love. Now, the one question is do you think he can drop below Kirk Cousins? And if you do, well, then you're just really not sure about Jordan Love in the first place. And I don't know what you've been doing to monitor him and evaluate him over the years. You have to be a lot more confident at this point who Jordan Love is. I think even if he does kind of settle in to like a 10 to 15 quarterback, he's still worth that amount of money that you're going to have to pay him. Because like I said, in a few years, that's the going rate. Like that is just what it is. I have to imagine that Jordan Love is going to be a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. And that is the amount of money that Dak Prescott has consistently been able to get. It's just the way the quarterback market works. And I think it's worth it because if you're not sure if he's going to go in the realm of a Kirk Cousins or a Dak Prescott or a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes tier, if you're not sure, then the way you look at it is I'm going to pay this quarterback right now because we're going to give him time. We're going to give him the resources. We're going to have to pay him the money. We're going to treat him as a top level quarterback. And in the next few years, if he proves not to, then we know that we're not going to give him another contract. Then we are, if he ends up being just a Kirk Cousins or a Dak, and you realize, okay, this guy still wants to command all this amount of money, then I'm not going to pay him that next contract. Then I will draft another quarterback and I will move on from him, if that's what you want to do. So I think it's just a very easy decision. People see it as this, oh my God, how could you pay him right now? He hasn't shown you enough. But when you really look at the timeline of events of what he's done and what the future looks like, unless you think that you're going to move on from Jordan Love within the next year or two, then you have to pay him this amount of money. There's no other way. It's the going rate just to see who he is. It's just this one contract. If this was his second contract, kind of like a similar situation what's going on with Dak Prescott, where you're just like, I don't know, should we pay him this amount of money? Should we not? That's a different situation. We're still figuring out Jordan Love. Will he be great to elite or just good to great? And if he's just good to great, considering how young your team is and the coaching staff that you have, it's worth the shot to pay that quarterback, because even if Jordan Love is just as good as, say, a Dak Prescott, the way the team and the coaching staff is constructed right now, you actually can win. You can actually legitimately win the NFC and even a Super Bowl. I really firmly believe that. So just lock down your quarterback. Don't play any games with that. Don't try to flirt with a quarterback that's a notch below him and say, well, maybe we can still, pay him less money. You don't do that. You have a great quarterback right now that you believe he's going to continue to get better. So just pay him. It's just really that cut and dry. I don't see it needing to be any more complicated than that. Unless he's trying to do something crazy. He's like, I want to be the first $80 million a year quarterback, which I don't think that's what he's doing. It seems like he wants the deal that will probably reset the market. It'll probably be like the $60 million a year, right? It'll be the Trevor Lawrence, the Jared Goff, those types of deals. I just think that if you pay him now, you're hedging your bets, especially because if he plays another season where he now balls out, then you're going to have to pay him even more. Here, if you pay him now, you're probably going to save around $5 million a year or so, however it exactly unfolds. And like I said, if he wants a ton of guaranteed money, I just see it being like irrelevant, because there's just no way he's going to be such a bad quarterback that you're going to want to move on from him within the next 2 or 3 years. I just don't see it happening. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Jordan Love should be paid like a top tier quarterback? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.